The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxsoft Solutions, part of the Great Tech Group. Just for those of you who are new with us today, our STAR solution MWF, which stands for Metal Wood Framer, is our Revit-based BIM framing solution that allows users to automate Revit walls, floors, ceilings, and trusses in light gauge steel and also in wood. With that said, we've just released our new summer build. That is version 2.38, build number 7892. It's now available for download, and it's also compatible with Revit 2022. So last week we covered walls and floors, all the new features within them. And this week our technician Perinaz will be doing a short but sweet webinar focused solely on trusses. So some of the new features for trusses include the new Truss Manager UI, the option to select exterior or interior face of supports, convert physical truss assembly back to an envelope. And then also for advanced metal, we have the option to add a live and a wind loads to point loads, and also pass nodes as supports the Truss Designer. So just before we get going, just a couple of housekeeping items. Please feel free to type in questions in the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard. We will not be taking any live questions at the end of the webinar, but if you type them in, we'll make sure to answer them by email within 24 hours. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Perinaz now.
Thank you, Tanya. So in this week's webinar, we are going to go over our new features in MWF for the Truss module. As Tanya mentioned, we will take a look at the new Truss Manager UI, how we can reset our trusses, and how we can set the envelope to align with the exterior face or interior face, and also for the truss in advanced metal, how we can add the point load and the support load. Now let's start. Okay, for the start, I will select my roof in MWF Advanced Metal, Truss Module. I can hit on Create. As always, like other automated commands, we need to introduce the support, finish, and we are not adding any cantilever offset. The next step, we can set the option to be aligned to the exterior face of the roof or the interior face. For now, we will select the exterior face. We can change the spacing to 2 feet and add the offset as 2 inches. For the offset, it is set to linear, and I have added 2 lines to setting the start point and end point for the envelopes. Now we can hit OK. And we will have our envelopes. Let me select just one and the roof and type in HI to isolate them. As you can see, the envelope that is created has a 2-inch gap offset from the outer space of the roof. If let's go back, hit HR and delete these. And this time we are going to create with the align to the inner space of the roof. So I selected the supports. I will select interior face, change the spacing to 2 feet. For the interior face, you cannot add the offset from outer face. And for the offset, we will do exactly the same thing as we did before. We will just pick the points and OK. So, sorry, I will select the envelope and the roof and type in HI. As you can see, the envelope is aligned to the inner face of our roof. Let's go back and delete them and try to create trusses again. create module, selecting the support. No offsets. We will set it to exterior face, change the spacing to 2 inches of offset, and the points. And okay, great. So let me select one of the envelopes, and this time we will hit on create. I have already saved a preset as demo, and these are the settings. The truss type is luggage wall truss. It is for the roof, and here is the units. I'm having advanced metal, so the engineering only is checked off. For the webbing, every settings are set to default. All the settings are set to default, and the member sizes. For the pick list, I have selected all the 400 families for all the member types. The physical member, the insertion width for the top track and the bottom track is checked off with 1/16 of an inch. And also we are having extra length and extra spacing for the webbings. Designer preferences, engineering, and reports, they are all set to the default. Let's go and hit on OK. Now in the Truss Designer page, we can, the view that we are having is the model line view. In the model line view, the new features that we are having is adding supports at the node plates. So if you double click on the node, a window will pop up where you can check off adding a support. You can select the support type if it's a flat or hang. You can set the width. The wall that were having was 8 inches, but if it's we can imagine that it was an interior wall that we want to draw later. We forgot to draw it, but we know that we will have a support at node 8, and now we want to add the support for analysis. So while double clicking, we can just add the support. We can change the width to 8 to 4 to 6. Let's keep it for 6 now. The alignment is to left, right, center, or custom. Now we will keep it at the center, and you can also change the fixation. Let's hit OK. As you can see, for other supports, these two are the walls, these two walls that we selected for the support. They are shown in our Truss Designer page with these two symbols. As we just added a support for node 8, we will have another symbol here as well. The other feature that we have is that we can double click in the node and add a point load. If I check this option off, you can add a live roof load, dead roof load, wind up or wind down. For now, we can add 15 pounds horizontal and vertical for the dead roof load and hit OK. You can see that we will have a bigger purple circle around node 9, and it shows that a new load has been added to node 9. The other option that we have added is splice node. If I double click on node 10, you will see that we have an option as splice node. And what does splice node do? If you're having a really long bottom track and we want to have a splice node at one point, we can just select the node, and we want the node to be between node 10 and node 11. So what we can do is to select node 10, come here and select unmember point. We want to copy node 10 on the bottom track. The bottom track is from node 1 to node 2. When we select bottom track, you can see that it will show here that it is from node 1 to node 2. What is the distance? I want it in 1 foot 4 inch from node 10. So I can add in 1 foot 4 inch. And it will move just horizontally and not vertically. So I just need to click on horizontal. And now we have node 13. I can double click on node 13 and check off the option for splice node and OK. Nothing will change here, but when we are generating the reports in our fabrication report, we will have all the details for node 13. For now, let's double click on node 9 and just uncheck the point load and run the design. So you will see that it will take a bit longer for the design to work. What will happen when we click on design? We have a pick list for our families in the design portion. When it starts running, it will select each member of the truss and it will check the family for that member. If it fails with that family, it will go ahead and select the next one on the list and check it for that member. So right now, it will start checking it for top tracks, bottom tracks, heels, and webbings. And when it is done, it is passed now. Let's see what has changed. For the top track, the first 3 failed, so it has selected the 4th one. Great. The other top track, of course, as well. The bottom track is the first family. And I'm sure for the heels and the webbings is the same thing. Now we can go ahead and hit reports. For the reports, we will have 3 reports. The first one is the fabrication. Let me just zoom a bit. So we will have the view of the truss plus the materials for each member. And you can see that we also have the option for the splice node. It's node 13 with the material length and screw count. On the second page, we still have a better view of the truss plus the detail for splice node 13. In engineering reports, we have the view for the truss. Let me just zoom a bit with the CSI summary, reaction table, materials, and member forces summary. And the last report is detailed engineering. All the details for the engineering portion of this truss is here. You can have the maximum CSI summary with truss dimensions, reaction table, all the reactions in detail, load summary, dead, live proof, all the load summaries can be found here. And that's it. Let's go back here to our Revit and hit OK to see the truss. Auto rename. Okay, great. Now you can see that we have a yellow shell around the truss. It shows that the truss has been locked. If I want to run reset truss, I can just select it here and reset the truss. But the truss is locked, so we cannot do that. In the dialog box, it is said one or more of the selected physical truss assemblies is locked and was ignored. So, okay, now we need to select the truss again, go back to settings, unlock truss. And now that the truss is selected, we can hit reset truss. The truss is back to the envelope. If you create your truss and at one point you decide like, okay, the heels are not at the right dimension. The envelope is a Revit group. You can just double click, come here and edit it. Or you can just move them back. You can hit finish, select the envelope again, hit on create, run the design, and create trusses after that. But for now, let's hit cancel and HR. So till now, we check the options for the create button. if we hit the roof, we can have the option to select exterior face or interior face. We saw the options for adding the supports or the loads or the splice node. And we also tried resetting the truss. The last new feature that we have is in our Truss Manager. The new Truss Manager UI shows you all the envelopes that you have in your project. You can select each envelope here and it will be zoomed and you can find it in your project. If I select 4, you can see it here, 5, 6, 7. And beside that, okay, you can see what is the preset that has been chosen for CT003. You can come here and select a new preset. You can check if it has been created, analyzed, it has passed or no, and if we have generated reports for that envelope. We can see that it's CT009, which is this one in the corner. We have created it, it has been analyzed and passed, but we haven't generated the reports. So what we can do here in Truss Manager, we can select, like I can select CT15 and come here and say create selected trusses. For that envelope, we will have the presets. It is set to demo. You could also select it in here and hit OK. You will have the Truss Designer page again. The other modifications that we did, like adding the support or the splice nodes, we don't have them here because we did reset the truss. So for now, we can just run design again. For now, while we are running the design, it will go ahead and do the same thing. It will go through the pick list. It will check every family for each member. If it passes, it will keep it. If it fails, it will move to the next one. If you want to change anything in the presets, you can just click on settings at this point. You will be back to your preset window. You can change, like, for example, the settings for the webbings. Come back here to this window, say clear web, generate web, and you will have the new settings on your Truss Designer page. Now that it has passed, we can hit on reports. And we will have 3 reports again: fabrication, engineering, and detailed engineering. In the fabrication, we won't have the page for the splice node again, because this time we didn't add it. It will be just about the materials and the view of the truss. Let's go back here and hit OK. This was truss 15. And great. The other thing that we have here is that we can select any trusses and analyze and create reports, or we can edit them. On the right ribbon, you have a list of all the reports that has been generated in your file. You can see the date and time as well. So if you want to just check something on the fabrication report for truss CT16, you can just double click here and it will pop up and you can check it here. So you will have a list of all the reports in your project in your Truss Manager window. So as we mentioned in the beginning, we just went over the new Truss Manager UI. We saw how we can select the truss, unlock it, and reset it to have the envelope back. And if you want to edit it, we checked how while we are creating envelopes, we can select if we want it to be aligned to the exterior face or the interior face. of the roof. And in the trusses for advanced metal, we saw how we can add point loads or supports to our notes in the Truss Designer page. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Perfect. Thank you, Paranaz. So as I mentioned earlier, we will not be taking any live questions, but we do encourage you to reach out to us after this session is closed if you do have any questions. Our contact details is, for our sales team will be provided along with the recording tomorrow. So with that said, as always, please feel free to share the recording with any colleagues. And if you're looking for it a little earlier than tomorrow, you can find it typically at the end of the day today across our social media channels. And if you'd like to set up a one-on-one demonstration or go more in depth on these new features, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be happy to set that up. All right, so that looks like it's a wrap for today. I just want to remind everyone that this new build is available for download today, and it is compatible with Revit 2022. All right, we'll now be ending the webinar. I just want to say a big thank you to Paranaz, and also thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Have a great day.